Can I get a motion to approve the Public Works and Transportation Committee minutes from March 4th, 2025? Motion Balich. Second Winfrey. Can we get a roll call, please?
Balich,
Yes.
Freeman, Hickey,
Abstain.
Winfrey, Revis.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving on to old business, seeing none. Moving on to new business. Starting off with number 1, County Highway 88, section of Romeo Road donation. Mr. Ronaldson had some information he'd like to share.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, committee members. This first item is probably new to most of you on the committee here, so I'm going to invite Permit Manager Kyle Catalano to come up and kind of explain what this is and why we do this particular item. So, Kyle?
Good morning.
Wait for that to go ahead.
Good morning.
There you go.
Good?
Good
Okay.
morning.
Yeah, this is pertaining to a proposed development, Monarch Grove, in the village of Romeoville. This, like just said, the southeast corner of Romeo Road and Weber Road. So during our permit process, we require various improvements, left and right turn lanes, that type of work. When we have an ongoing roadway improvement, like in Weber Road, we see an opportunity to incorporate those improvements during both projects. So this measure is accepting a donation, which is a cost estimate that our consultant put together for the developer's share of their roadway improvements.
And then it's allowed per ordinance.
Correct. Yeah, it's the way it's written at the ordinance, the county engineer's recommendation to the Public Works Committee to accept the donation.
Then the committee will approve or deny that, and then it stops there. It doesn't go to the full county board. It just stops. The committee has the approval authority to grant it. So any questions on the process or?
So this $377,000 and some change, that is what's being donated to us by Kimley Horn?
No, it was accepted by the Kimley Horn, their engineer. They reviewed the cost estimate that our consultant for the Weber Road project put together. And the developer will be submitting that money to, again, cover their portion of the roadway improvements.
Oh, Member Freeman.
So actually you're giving us land for this road.
They are dedicating property, yes.
So then when we accept it, it's forever ours to maintain, which is fine. But I'm still baffled by here, have this piece of land. It's the developer so that their new area is going to be.
Well, each development does dedicate right of way for future improvements, but what he's referring to is the roadway improvements themselves, like left turn lanes, right turn lanes. That's what this cost is covering.
Okay.
So that they don't have to go in and do the improvement and come right back around and tear it back out for no reason. We're partnering and doing it all together. That's what this particular item is speaking towards.
I kind of like the foresight there.
Yep.
It's,
It's a learning
Refreshing.
process, and we think we got that one nailed down.
thank you.
Excellent. So, I think we need a motion, or can we do a previous roll? All right, motion, Balich, second, Freeman, previous Winfrey.
Except I'm a yes.
I think we need a second for the previous. I know we need one.
Second, Hickey.
Second, hey, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yep.
Moving on to number 2, confirming the award of contract to H&H Electric Company for $290,068.88, led on March 19, 2025, countywide LED signal modules replacement in all county board districts. Can we get a motion?
Second.
Winfrey, Balich, can we get a previous?
Second, Hickey.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let me switch to my computer. I like that. That'd be better. Sorry. Moving on to number 3, improvement by county under the Illinois Highway Code for the countywide LED signal modules replacement various roadways using motor fuel tax funds of $325,000 in all county board districts.
Motion Ballard.
Second, Hickey.
Member Van Dyne has a question. Microphone. Seat 4, mic on.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Ronaldson, are they changing out all the LEDs on the complete intersections, or what is the background on this? Do you
Yes,
know
they-
the scope of work, I
They're
guess,
doing- they're
real
doing
general?
Intersection at a time, entire intersection. That's when the intersection's gone in maybe 10 years ago.
Mhm.
The modules age out at a certain time frame. We guess warranty is around 10 years. So after that point, they need to be refreshed. So we switch out the modules at that time.
How many intersections do we have under our jurisdiction? Do you know off the top of your head?
It used to be around 55, but I think that number is growing quite a bit with all the agreements you have been approving. We're taking those jurisdiction back over on a lot of traffic signals for our ITS program. So I'm not sure what the new number is at the moment, but
Mhm.
it's anywhere between 55 and 65 at this point.
This project here, how many do they represent? Do you, half, not even?
I believe it is more than half. I would have to look that number up
Okay.
and get that to you. Because obviously the new ones that have gone in the past 5
Sure.
to 10 years,
Yeah.
we're not doing.
All right.
So
No,
these are the-
answer's fair enough. I just trying to get an idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we had everything on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 4, confirming the award of contract to Northern Contracting, Inc. for $299,968.50 on March 19, 2025, countywide guardrail maintenance, various county highways, in all county board districts. Do we have a motion?
Motion Bowles.
Second Hickey.
Previous? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I guess I should look at my notes. I do have 45 locations we are taking care of this time. I actually wrote it down. Read my own notes.
Good job. All right, moving on to number 5, resolution for improvements by county under the Illinois Highway Code for countywide guardrail maintenance and various county highways, all county board districts using motor fuel tax funds of $330,000. Motion Balich. Second Freeman, question, microphone is on. Proceed with your question.
Okay, so number 4 and number 5 are both about guardrail maintenance. So I'm assuming if it has a ding in it, because I mean, it's a guardrail, it's gonna get every once in a while, that's why it's there, unfortunately. So do you replace that? At what point do you replace the guardrail?
We will have the contractor go out and replace or repair those when it's truly a safety issue where it's destroyed the end section, or the end sections are the key, of course, that's the point of initial impact. So those have to be replaced right away. If you're in the middle of the guardrail, long run, just as a ding, it still does its purpose. It's still safe.
Right.
So it would have to be leaning pretty hard or have a break in it before we do that, but it's a case by case basis.
So are these two totals, are they to replace, or is that just for time and materials to fix?
It covers the entire call out for a crew to go out to address a situation. So time, material, all that's included. So this is just kind of like an on-call thing. And it covers, I believe, Brian, is it 2 years?
It's a 2-year contract and it could be in the system.
So 2-year contract anywhere on the system. So if there's something, we'll call them out and do that.
Okay, yeah, I think the 2 years matters too, so, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Can we get a previous?
Free-
Previous Winfrey,
Second Hickey.
second Hickey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion carries. Moving on to number 6, confirming the award of contract to Iroquois Paving Corporation for $767,000 and $249.48 on March 19, 2025, County Line Road, County Highway 58, resurfacing from N 15,000 East Road, east to State Line Road, County Board District Number 2. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Winfrey, Balich, Freeman,
Second Hickey.
Hickey. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Number 7, confirming the award of contract to PT Farrow Construction Company for $372,195.80 on March 19, 2025. Shanahan Road District resurfacing various roadway, County Board District Number 1.
College.
Second Hickey.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 8. We're authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and the County of Will for maintenance and energy of traffic signals at the intersection of 191st Street, County Highway 84, and Panduit Drive in the County of Will, County Board District Number 4.
Motion Ballard.
Second Hickey.
Motion Balich, second Hickey, previous Winfrey, second Freeman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to number 9, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and the County of Will for maintenance and energy of traffic signals at the intersection of 191st Street, County Highway 84, and the east entrance to Brookside Marketplace in the County of Will, County Board District Number 4.
Motion Ballard.
Motion Balich, second Freeman. Previous Winfrey,
Second Hickey.
second Hickey. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to number 10, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for design engineering services, Phase 2, with AECOM Technical Services, Inc., upgrading traffic signals on 5 county highways, section 25-00000-01-TL, County Board Districts 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9.
Motion Ballard.
Freeman.
Second Hickey.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Number 11, we're going to have some discussion from the county engineer, authorizing approval of agreement for purchase of wetland banking site credits for $4,324,550 with V3 Wetland Restoration LLC for county highway improvement projects, County Section 25-00000-00-MS, County Board Districts 1 through 11. We got a motion and we got a second,
Motion.
and now we're gonna go to discussion with Mr. Ronaldson.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to put our design manager on the spot here. He didn't know he was coming up, but Eric Wessel will tell you what the wetland credits are and what this agreement is and our coordination with the actual, it says V3 wetland, but it's actually our Will County Forest Preserve District. So if you kind of give a summary as to what this is.
Sure. As we do road projects and bridge projects that are adjacent to waterways that have been classified with wetlands either by the Army Corps or the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, we're required to replace them or restore them at a certain ratio. Typically, it's a 1.5 to 1 ratio, but it can be greater depending on the overall quality. The option of choice typically is to buy wetland credits in a certified bank. The Will County Forest Preserve District in Thorn Creek is creating a wetland bank area for agencies and municipalities for this type of credit. These credits are hard to come by, so what we as a county are buying a block of credits so that in the future, as projects come online and we realize we need wetland credits, we don't have to come frequently to the board asking for the credits. What will happen is the V3 is managing the wetland site for the Forest Preserve District, and they will just give us a certificate and say, we'll take X amount of acres and credit it to that project. So then we can get our clearances through IDOT, IDNR, and or the Army Corps of Engineers for our wetland banking.
Yes, as they said, the wetland credits are becoming very scarce, and we're very appreciative of the Forest Preserve District in creating this so that we actually have an avenue to continue mitigating this for our projects. So
Sounds great. I just want to confirm that the money is coming from the county to V3 restoration, or the money is going from the county to the forest preserve.
I don't know what the contractual arrangement is with the Forest Preserve and V3. I know the V3's been managing it. V3 actually assisted the Forest Preserve District in actually developing the site for the wetland credits. So, you know, that would be, I guess, when you wear your other hat with the Forest Preserve District to check out and see how that contractual arrangement is with V3 companies.
Yeah, yeah. I'm wondering, I don't think we've voted on anything with that at the forest preserve, did we? I'm looking at you, Commissioner / Member Freeman. All right, number 6, Mike on, then we got
I'll do
number,
my best, but I will probably butcher it. I do remember that we have talked about the tax credits and building an area for people to buy tax credits. I do remember that. When, I can't answer that. And where that money goes, I can't answer that, but we are about to have Forest Preserve on Thursday, and those are questions we can ask during operations.
yeah. Member Van Dyne.
Thank you. Do you gentlemen make a habit of trying to work with the Forest Preserve? I know you mentioned that you were fortunate enough that they had this particular piece of property. But do you try to make a habit to use them as another taxing body, since we do wear both hats? And if not, is there any way that we can have some type of ordinance made here at the county that would require you guys to work with the Forest Preserve, since this group of people both are at the Will County level?
yeah, wetland credits, I don't think we've had a lot of back and forth on, because it's kind of a new thing for them. But as far as collaboration otherwise, we work with them quite a bit, especially early on in the design phase of our projects. For complete streets, if there's bike paths that need to be in the area, if the Forest Preserve has a plan to put a bike path at some point through an area, and if our project coincides, we always ask them, do you want one at that time, and coordinate with them on that. So there's that collaboration there. Otherwise, the Forest Preserve and the DOT don't cross paths too often. It really is in the bike path area that we do cross, and we do have that agreement. Even in the 2040 plan, their bikeway plan was incorporated into the 2040 plan itself. And they were consulted in the development of the 2050 plan. So they're ongoing partners.
Thanks.
Yeah, the forest preserve's great. They do a lot of good stuff. Thanks, Joe. You turned it off for me. All right, moving, we're all good on that one. Sandy, did you need a vote?
We need a previous.
Can we get a previous or a second? Previous Winfrey, second Balich. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 12, authorizing an agreement between the County of Will and Oaks Cart Permit Systems LLC for issuing oversized overweight truck permits for the Will County Division of Transportation. Let's get a motion and a second. Winfrey, Balich, and then Mr. Ronaldson had a couple discussion items for us.
Well, let's see what we do here. So this is probably more appropriately titled an updated agreement, because we do have an agreement with Oxcart already since 2018 to automate our oversized overweight truck permitting. So if they need an oversized overweight permit, they go online, do what they got to do, click buttons and whatnot, enter data, and they get their permit. So this is kind of not renewing, but updating the existing agreement, because Oxcart is increasing their fees by $1. And that fee increase does get passed along to the applicant, not the county. So I think there's some other verbiage changes, but that is the substantial change to the agreement, my understanding.
And Member Freeman, did you have discussion? Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. Can we get a previous
Previous Hickey.
Hickey? Second Freeman. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion carries. Moving on to number 13, granting 2 access for ingress and egress for new businesses on Laraway Road, County Highway 74 in County Board District Number 2. Second, motion Winfrey,
Second Hickey.
second Hickey, previous Ballich, second Freeman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to number 14, authorizing approval of the establishment of altered speed zone 697 along Renwick Road, County Highway 36, County Board Districts 5 and 9. Do we have a motion?
Second Bauer.
Second Hickey.
Before we go to all in favor, Mr. Ronaldson, did you have some opining you wanted to do with that one, or did I circle the wrong one in my
That
notes?
one's standard. 15 is the one.
Oh, okay, yep. All right, so all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to number 15, establishing Will County as a Vision Zero county. Can we get a motion in a second before we go to discussion? Winfrey Freeman, Mr. County Engineer.
All right. The resolution itself actually gives a pretty good description of what Vision Zero is. You've probably heard this phrase over the years where it relates to fatalities. There's some stats in there compiled from our safety action plan that we're developing that actually shows Will County is a little higher, unfortunately, on the fatality rate than our northeastern Illinois region. So what this resolution is doing is kind of just setting the standard, saying we want to use data and our partners to incorporate into design and to work to a goal of zero fatalities. So, and it will take interim steps. So as we develop projects, we want to work with our partners, and it's just not DOT. I mean, it's you've got enforcement plays a big part in these safety things. Education is a big thing, and people driving the way they should be driving. So it needs to be a collaborative effort, and this resolution is basically saying that Will County wants to do this. So in any opportunity that comes up where we can advance this thought of being improving our driving abilities, I guess I should say, that we as a county want to do that. So as far as design, we will of course do that. We have safety built into, we already do have safety built into our designs, but we want to maximize that wherever possible. So this, again, this is a commitment of the county to do that, and it is actually recognized, or it has to be in place for our safety action plan to be federally recognized. So it is an important step.
So are these vehicle on vehicle crashes, or
No,
does it all encompassing of, one person crashes or, other incidents that happen on a roadway?
Eric and Elaine have been in these meetings more than I have, but in my understanding of these accidents, they are all encompassing. It's not going to just be vehicle on vehicle. It could be pedestrian, could be a deer crash causing a fatality. So I'm pretty sure, is that accurate? Anyone
Yes.
know?
Yes, so it's all encompassing. We're looking at any user of a road system, whether it be motorized, non-motorized, pedestrian.
So that tells you right there, some things we are not going to be able to control, like deer, but
Yeah,
wherever possible, we want to educate and give the best design out there.
I think it's great. Member Freeman, discussion.
How do you obtain the data to improve a road for safety?
We rely heavily on accident reports, and those are generated by the police department. So when there's an accident out there, assuming they're called, they go out and draw up an accident report, and it goes into a master database that's maintained throughout the state. So we draw on that.
So someone from your department would be gathering that information and putting it into a system?
No,
or-
actually, the police departments do that. When they complete the reports, they enter it into, I'm not sure what the system is, but it's some system that we as the DOT then pull from.
'Cause I remember Deputy Jungles coming forth and saying they wanted flags or flashing lights on the Wilmington Peatone Road.
Correct.
And I've seen them. They are very prominent and they make you think, hey, be careful. So I was just curious how that happens. So once the data is collected, then what?
then it's up to the road agency, whether it's us or some other one, to go and pull from this database. The sheriff has their own portal, they call it, and IDOT has their own safety portal where we can go in and pull these accident reports. So as long as they're getting entered into the system, we'll be able to pull them back out and then see what is happening on these locations.
And it gives us proof that this project needs to happen at this location because of X amount of accidents.
Correct.
I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I do as well. Mr. Balich had some commentary.
I just had a question, the enforcement, where does that fall on?
Enforcement is up to the police agency, whether it's the sheriff, the individual police department. They do the enforcement. They're the enforcement arm.
So they have to agree to do this too,
They would have to be on board, yes.
okay? Because I know, I'm not talking about, I just know a real bad situation that happened right around this time last year. You were the Megaplex with all that work that was going on. I called, Jim Richmond called, Judy Ogala called, because there's a political 4x4 sign right at the street. And it was already bad because of all the construction. And cars were having to pull out without being able to see the thing. So the police didn't enforce it. The county didn't enforce it. Nobody enforced it. So that's why I asked, if you have something and it's not being enforced, you know, what, I mean, we can pass a million rules, but if we don't enforce them, what good is it?
Yeah, well, we
So I
would,
asked, my question is, how is this, if, so the police aren't the local police, in our case in Homer, it's Will County Sheriff, they didn't enforce it. But if you live somewhere else and you have a police department and they don't enforce it, then what, does that make us have any liability at all because they didn't enforce it? Or how does that work so that we don't have a problem due to enforcement?
I'm not going to speak to the legal issue that on that, but I will say that the sheriff's department, I can't speak to that particular instance on how they responded to that one, but on other instances, a couple of the sheriff's departments, they'll relay to us that we've had a bad accident here. Maybe we can look into it more. They might have some suggestions. Maybe that doesn't happen on every location. That might be dependent on certain sheriff individuals. I don't know.
Coming back to you, Steve, sorry.
This would be only for stuff that, if it's temporary, you don't care, it's not that you don't care, but it's not going to be probably enforced. And if it's permanent, then maybe we can get something done. Is that more of the line how this is? Because temporaries was up for a couple of days, that was it.
Well, I mean, if you read the
And that was
resolution,
just one incident, there's a lot more that I could talk about, but temporary stuff evidently won't fall into this category from what I'm hearing. That's what I'm trying to determine. I
Well,
still think it's a good idea.
I'd say, I mean, in the last paragraph or second last one, it says, Will County will work with partners in the region to leverage individual work efforts to contribute to improvements in safety countywide. So that is going to be a lot of different people, not just the sheriff. So we'll do our part on the DOT side. The county board is passing this, so I'm just going to say, I don't know how to say this properly, but have you help with the other agencies and partners to promote this as well. So, I mean, once we county has this in place, I would ask that you also promote this to our other agencies to make it better if it's not working. We'll do our part and respond to whatever comes to our attention. But yes, some of these things will fall on other people.
Member Van Dyne.
Thank you, Chair Revis. I think this resolution is fantastic, and my comment is, I believe your department has already been following this vision, because I know that by experience. We have a 4-mile county highway that connects I-55 and Route 53, Illinois Route 53. 30% of that traffic is semi-trucks. And I had brought this forward to Mr. Ronaldson years ago when I first became chair of the board. You have semi-trucks barreling down on your tail when you try to make a right-hand turn at 2 different locations. And I've witnessed this for 15 to 20 years driving. that off of River Road, that folks will get off onto the shoulder to get out of their way. I brought it to Mr. Ronaldson's attention, and this is preactive. This is not reactive. And he brought it to this board and proved that it was a good idea to actually put in some turn lanes, and this board did support that issue. And as far as I know, there has not been an accident since those right turn lanes have been installed. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I know you work with all the other agencies, but you also work with board members and residents of Will County, because I've brought in issues up through residents that actually live in the area, and they see the problems more than maybe your staff does. So I believe you're you are following this Vision Zero plan already, and I would love to support it. So.
Yeah, I second that. Now, Mr. Ronaldson, I did have one comment that I wanted to make, just because it's something that I've been thinking about for some time. Maybe we talked about it briefly, but I don't know if we did. I can't remember. I know an individual who was killed on a motorcycle in Will County in Homer Glen. I don't remember the exact location, but it was on a county highway, and they wanted to get watch for motorcycle sign up, and through their lawsuit or whatever, they were declined to have that, or that sign never got up, and it was like, not approved. So my thought was, could there be some resolution or ordinance that we pass through this committee that could say something like, if residents request it, they can get a sign that says, anything, deaf child at play, or, watch for motorcycles, or semi-truck pull out, or something, I don't know if that makes sense. Can you speak to that, or is that too broad of a question?
It's pretty broad, but I mean, we can poke at it a little bit. A deaf child, for instance, if we're made aware that there is one residence in that area, I mean, that's a sign that's in the MUTCD, Manual Uniform Traffic Control Devices, and that would probably be warranted to put on there. Even like the school bus stops over a hill, that's challenging. If we're brought to attention that there is an actual drop off at that location, we will put one there. Now, when that person leaves, we don't actively check this though, but if we're made aware that they leave, then that sign can come back down, because the more signs you have out there, the less people are going to pay attention to it. Motorcycles, that would be some discussion we would have to have, I think, because establishing a warrant for that would be difficult, because I mean, we have motorcycles all over the county, and is one location more prone to another? Might be hard to determine, but doesn't mean we can't talk about it and try and figure something out. So if there's certain types of signs that you as the committee or board want to see more of, we can have that discussion and see if we can come up with some reasonable warrant.
I think there's more work to be done on this, and I think it fits into this. So let's not hold back the business of this any further. I don't think, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. I apologize.
Okay.
I actually blinded my right eye.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So just about the responsiveness of the other entities that are involved, I mean, have you had any problems with cooperation in the past?
Cooperation, no, maybe difference of opinion, but
Okay.
cooperation, ultimately, no.
Okay, and if I could, just to address Member Baelich's comments, our Will County Sheriff specifically has a fantastic app, and they are incredibly responsive, whether it's a temporary issue or a permanent kind of issue. So I just want to put it out there and put a plug in for the app, because I think they spend a lot of time on it, and I do think it's a really good thing, and I've seen personally that they do respond. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can we get a previous?
Second.
Second. Okay, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Other new business, seeing none, moving on to the Director of Transportation, our county engineer. Without further ado, Mr. Jeff Ronaldson.
All right, we're getting there. As you see the kind of description in the item example there, we are having our final public meeting for the Exchange Street and Burrville Road intersection out in the Crete area. That will be Will County's first roundabout. So if you're interested in seeing what that will look like, Materials for that will be up in the April 7th timeframe on our website. Notices will also go out probably around April 7th. You're kind of getting a pre-look. I want to get that before you, the committee, so you know that we are having a public meeting on that. And that will be scheduled tentatively for a 2027 construction. So once we have the public meeting, finish up the phase one, we'll move into the full design and land acquisition and move on from there. And it is fully funded in our multi-year plan. I do have, that kind of dovetails into, we can come back if there's questions, but number two that it's not on there is construction, of course, is starting up, which you are all well aware driving through. It is the season starting, so just encouraging safety. We've talked about that quite a bit today. Slowing down in the construction zones and encouraging people to do the same. So any other questions on that first item?
Looks like Mr. Balich had something to contribute.
Yeah.
Mr. Balich?
I don't know, if you don't live in an area and there's a roundabout on a main street, I find it extremely difficult to not get in an accident, especially like on Weber Road in Bolingbrook, where you have all these signs and you gotta follow them. And so I don't go fast so I can make sure I'm following it right. I'm going like real slow. Cars are all beeping their horn and then some cars cut me off, but I'm not gonna go in the wrong lane, right? So these roundabouts are designed more than likely for safety, right?
Correct.
But the reality of it is, if you don't live in the area and you don't know the roundabout, it's not safety. It's probably a hazard. So I don't know how you feel about it, but maybe that's something that you guys need to look at because I find them really difficult. I go in some areas where I went the wrong way because I couldn't get over to get in the correct lane. So if you're not from, if you live there, it's great. But if you don't live there, it ain't so good. So, I mean, it's just a comment, but I think most people that go to a strange area or different area and you
Sure.
you
No,
get
it's-
those roundabouts and they got all these lanes supposed to jump into. And if you miss, you're going in the left lane and you're supposed to be in the middle lane or the right lane, you're screwed.
Sure, no, that's a valid point. It's something new for a lot of us. Like I said, this is our first one on the county highway system, not in Will County as a whole. This particular location, actually in Indiana, it's much more prevalent. I mean, I've had people tell me there's probably 20 as you continue going east. So those folks are very familiar with it. So the area is familiar with it. But as we consider this in other locations throughout the county, it is a key thing to talk about in these public meetings. I believe in the public meetings, the materials we've used for this, there's actually examples of how to approach them and go through them. So the consultants are tasked with making sure the residents are aware that this is probably something new for some, and there are examples of how to approach them. And hopefully people are taking advantage of those videos and things to look at. So
I'm just going
We're
by the
considering.
premise that if let's just say you're from Texas and you're driving down that road, all of a sudden, because your GPS, if you're following that on your phone, you're still going to have a problem. Unless you're familiar with it, you're going to have to slow down a hell of a lot. Otherwise, you're going to be put in the wrong lane more than likely. And then you're going to have to figure out how to get around. It's just like a mess. And I don't go to Bolingbrook that often, but even when I still go there and I know it's there, I gotta go slow because I don't want to screw up. Because otherwise I gotta cut over and cut somebody off. Like instead of getting me got cut off, I gotta cut somebody off. I don't want to do that. So, I mean, that's just, even like if you're going to Bolingbrook Country Club, they got that roundabout on Rodeo Drive.
yeah, I do.
Oh, that's a little bit easier to navigate, but if you're not paying attention, you're screwed there too.
Thank you, Member Balich. Member Freeman.
So I remember very well living in Maryland. It was by far one of my favorite states that we lived in through all of our travels. However, I was exposed greatly to roundabouts. And there's some, especially in the DC area, where you're like, just as Steve said, you just kind of round and round and round. And someday I'm going to actually make it to the right lane and be able to get off of here. And kids, are you getting car sick yet? But I also learned while I was there how very valuable they were. Because from there, we went to Texas where they didn't have very many roundabouts. They had way screwier offs and roads that went by the interstates that it was challenging for me to figure out. I think that roundabouts, I have learned, have made safety. If we can get people to understand that you're supposed to go in and go around, and driver's ed can use them better and hopefully train the kids, because it is a training thing. But this particular intersection looks like it would be a prime candidate for a roundabout, and I can actually see it working very well there. So I think I'm an easy yes on this one. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. This is great information. All county board members need more information about being safe on roadways. So,
I'm gonna vote yes for it.
oh, okay.
That's not the point. The point is that maybe, the point is maybe that when Jeff is talking about a roundabout, that they're a little bit more cautious about how they make a roundabout. And if it would be better just to leave it as a street, because some of those roundabouts are dangerous.
I understand.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's not serving the function of safety. But at the same time, I don't know what would.
You were just looking
replace
at
it.
me like you had that, you know,
No,
trouble
I don't
causing
know what
look.
would replace it.
I get it.
I
I'm with
don't
you.
like them, but it don't mean it's bad because I don't like it. It means that I just have to go slow and everybody else can
Yeah,
blow their horn. I don't care. But I'm not gonna get in an accident because of that. But I think it's not really a safe thing. Not in all cases, but in some.
I think you're pointing out a very valid point. So, I think we have a new member, Member Bullock, please, state your case.
I love me a roundabout, don't get me wrong. And I feel that they're there to keep traffic moving. Otherwise, there would be stop signs at all four corners, and then we have that other game of whose turn is it? So my question is this roundabout, because Wisconsin has some roundabouts that have 2 lanes in them. I don't understand why, because you all just do this and you turn off when it's time to turn off. You're not talking about a 2-lane roundabout here, are you?
This one is actually, because of the geometry, which you saw in that picture, it's pretty unique. It's not really a round, it's more
Yeah.
oval, oblong. I'd encourage you to look at the website when it comes up. Actually, there's drawings on there to see what it looks like. It's very interesting.
But are there,
There is going to be
Lanes.
one outside lane because there's going to be a lot of pass-through traffic going from east to west. So there is going to be an outside lane, but this one, just the design of it, it should be more intuitive as to where people are going. But yeah, I know what you're talking about, those double ones that are just circle and around. This one's a little different.
Okay. So it's not your traditional roundabout?
It is not your traditional one just because of
Okay.
the geometry of the area.
All right.
But just so the committee knows, this was a very high safety issue. Fatalities have occurred there. The federal government is participating 90% in this project. So, and they feel this design is worthwhile in doing. So a lot of support for it, but it is something new it's new for a lot of people, maybe not people in Indiana, but if you want to see it, I'd invite you again to come out on the website and kind of look at what it is. Thank you. That's what the public meeting's for, is to educate. So.
So do you know, I don't know if you would know this, because I don't know this, I'm not in the education world anymore, but does driver's ed focus on a roundabout situation?
It's a good question. I haven't seen the roundabout book in a little while. I don't know if anyone else has, but I have not seen it. It's a
No.
good
I
question.
mean, it's something we
Why would you look
probably.
at me? It's
I-
because I'm the
just-
closest
no.
one? No.
I just turned 50, so I'm saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another, when you're talking about the
That's a good
that
question to
safety
check out.
thing, the safety
It's a good
group
question.
that we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a good partner to have, is to reach out to, whether it's school districts or, I don't know, ISB, talking about the driver's ed curriculum, if that is something that is addressed, since we probably will start seeing more of these.
Yeah,
They do keep the traffic moving. I appreciate it.
I think you're making great points, and even if it's something for the legislative agenda too, different committee, different goal, but road safety and being safe on the roadways. I think that makes a lot of sense to be talked about in this committee. I'm not the chair all the time. Maybe we get with member Trainier and have some long form discussions about how to be safe on our roadways. Member Balich, is this on this item? All right.
Yeah, you can get a driver's ed kid and tell them about how you work a roundabout. It don't matter. I've been driving for I ain't gonna tell you how long, because I drove without a driver's license back in the day. They didn't care. But if you go back, I've been driving since like 1964. And that's a long time. I come in front of a roundabout and I don't care. They're never the same.
Yeah.
So if you went to driver's ed, you'd see how to operate through a road. They run you through all these scenarios. Then when you get in real life, it's not going to matter. I'm just saying to me, they're not a safe thing, but I don't know if they're safer than not having it. So I'm not going to be against it. But I mean, that's something that should be addressed with the brainchilds that designed this stuff. You know what I mean? It's not you. IDOT's telling you what to put there. So, God bless IDOT, but maybe they're pencil pushers. They just look on a piece of paper and go, oh, this would be good.
Yeah,
So
we do have the documentation of the safety experts that have studied the roundabouts and show a great improvement in percentage of less severe accidents. That's why the roundabout's design is to minimize severe accidents, the T-bones that you see at typical four-way stops. The roundabout doesn't allow that because you don't have that. They're lower speed by design. When you enter it, you come in at a lower speed. So there's documentation to that effect by the safety experts that have spent more time on it than I have.
everybody passes me on Weber. I'll tell you that right now. And they cut me off too, because I'm going too slow.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate the lively
I'm
discussion.
just telling you,
Um,
it's not a safe thing. And I'm going fast anyway. I'm going like 40 miles an hour. But I consider that pretty fast for.
Certainly.
Like,
All right,
I
well,
swear
this
I
is
get
great.
rear-ended.
This is great, and I do think we should have more long form discussions about roadway safety, being safe on our highways, how we can minimize death, maximize roundabouts without having a law of diminishing returns take place. So great discussion there. Moving on in our agenda, so we got the Director of Transportation discussion taken care of. State's Attorney discussion, seeing none. We have some monthly work reports, a maintenance status report, a phase 2 summary report, and a construction status report. Unless there were any questions on that, seeing none, we're going to move on to reports by committee members. Reports by committee members, seeing none, moving on to public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? Public comment? Public comment. Seeing none, we're going to move on to announcements and reports by the chair, which there are none. Moving on to executive session, which there's no need for. We will now adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Talking about.
And we will be adjourned with our next meeting scheduled for May 6, 2025. Oh, all in favor?